The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us a couple who is here to talk with us about conversation starters with our spouse. So the names are Marcus and Ashley Kusi, and they are marriage mentors who have been married since 2010 and have two amazing daughters. They have a blog and they are authors of different relationship books, which you can find online. And I've had one or so of the books and it's really good. So it's books that you can check out that will help you. So today they're here to just give us some more insights about how to use these and what's the purpose of really having conversation starters. So hi Marcus, hi Ashley.
Hello.
Hi, Gabe. Thank you for having us on the podcast. We're excited to talk with other couples and share some more insights into what we do.
Awesome.
Any questions that you have for us too.
Sure, awesome. Looking forward to it. So I want to first start by finding out what or why is it important to have ongoing conversations with your spouse?
I mean, besides the obvious answer, right? Like, you're supposed to talk to them, right? But really, I mean, it helps you stay connected, whether you're working from home or working out of the home. And, when you get together and it's just the two of you and you can have those conversations and connect about more than just the day-to-day stuff, I think it elevates your friendship and your relationship to a different level. And it helps you connect, which can be hard to do with the day-to-day life and online stuff.
Yeah, and to add to that, it also helps you bring up issues that you might be struggling with, so you can solve them when they come up instead of waiting till later. It gives you that opportunity.
Okay, and that question was asked because there are couples that actually don't have conversations with each other. And when we're talking about conversations, we're talking about deep-rooted conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They have surface conversations.
Yeah. That's hard for me to imagine, just because, even from the beginning of our relationship, and that's what we write about, we share about, is our relationship and the lessons that we've learned. We're not, experts in any sense of the word, just from sharing our own experiences. But it's hard for me to imagine having a partnership, having a marriage where we don't get to really talk about the deep stuff. Because if I can't talk to my husband about these things, then who can I talk to them about?
True.
He's my partner. I want to spend the rest of my life with him. So that includes every aspect of my life. Was it easy to do? Absolutely not. But it's worth it.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. It's just that some people prefer not to. They have different lifestyles or on different pages. Some people can't speak to their spouse. And the thing is, sometimes they realize this after they got married.
That's difficult.
It is difficult. How do we handle deadlock conversations?
I mean, we handle it in a few different ways. Sometimes when we can't get to solve a problem or both getting emotionally charged, I've learned that if I'm no longer able to empathetically listen, meaning I'm listening to understand where he's coming from so we can solve the problem, and I start just getting angry at him or whatever, and I'm not really listening to solve a problem anymore, then I'll take a break. I'll say, I can't talk about this right now. I need a minute. I need to cool off. And
Okay.
we don't usually shelve things for more than 24 hours. But sometimes we do, like, you know what, let's talk about this tomorrow night after the kids go to bed, because it's not being productive anymore. So that's one way that we would deal with those deadlock conversations. Another way is I'll just ask him, like, why is this so important to you? And then he'll give me an answer. And I'll say, okay, but why does that bother you? And I'll just kind of keep asking why in different ways to get to the root of what it is. And that helps us with the really difficult conversations.
Yeah, and to explain a lot of codependent with the whys, there's a method called the 5 whys. If you Google it, it shows you how to use the 5 whys to ask better questions and to get to the roots of problems, or to get a deep understanding of whatever is going on. So when you have deadlock with conversations, using the 5 whys is a method that's definitely going to help you with getting to the root of it.
That's if the other person is willing to answer the whys, because I can't imagine there's a deadlock conversation and I'm being asked, okay, why does this bother you? And I'm already heated. So, I mean, I get even sometimes waiting to talk about it and then finding the root, but sometimes we ourselves don't even know the root of why we're angry about something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is like the point you made where, both partners have to be willing to do that communication. That is something that we get emails a lot about. And people will email us about they're having this problem and they want to solve it. They want to fight for the marriage, but then their partner just isn't in it, and isn't willing to do any of these things. And honestly, my response to that is always like, you can't have a marriage with one person.
True.
Like, you both need to be committed to making it work. Even just baby steps, like the smallest baby steps, like communicating, like that should be something you're willing to do if you're in a marriage.
That's paramount in any marriage.
Right?
Yeah, it's paramount, but we have to also look at it that aspect that not everyone in the house how to communicate with their partner.
Right.
Everybody have different love languages. The thing is, we sometimes talk to our partners the way how we would want to be spoken to, but that's not necessarily the way how our partner receives conversation.
Yeah, we actually learned there's different communication types, sort of like different love languages.
Yes.
And it's funny because ours are two very opposing communication styles. And I mean, it's not even necessarily about knowing how to communicate, but just the willingness to be like, you know what, I really want to make this work. Let's find a way to do it together, and let's start there. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, well, I have to go learn how to communicate and go take a course and go do a.
I get that. Can a conversation start to pull a couple together, or can it help to pull them apart?
Ooh,
it depends on the conversations and how the relationship between the couple is. So there are some conversations that are going to be very difficult. They're going to be involved, like bringing up your past, how you were raised, how you view things, your own beliefs. They're going to bring questions that you have to answer them or face with. And so those conversations are going to be a little more difficult than just the regular day-to-day stuff, like pick up a jug of milk on your way home. So I think it depends on the conversations. And so before you have those conversations, decide, is this something that's going to require a lot of time, or is it something that's going to be very short? And then based on that, you can decide how to go about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like intimacy can be a very hard subject for a lot of people to talk about. Absolutely.
There were a number of questions in the book that we read. All right, so what happened is, like, I read a page, my husband read a page, I read a page, he read a page. So we ask questions that way. So there were times when I was like, why is it that every time he's asking the questions, they're really tough questions, and I really sometimes don't want to answer those questions. Um, and I was like, why? Why do I have to answer them? But answering it, I don't think either side, we were both sometimes pleased with probably the answer we got,
Hmm.
to be honest.
Right.
But at least we had the conversation about it.
Yeah. And then it gives you an opportunity for growth.
It does. Um, the thing is, depending on the response, and I think that's the next question following it, depending on the response, people can pull away.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
so if you're having a conversation and your spouse pulls away, I think that should, for me, that would tell me this is something that is very deep. It's something that is deep.
Triggering.
It is triggering for them. And so personally, I'll pull back a little bit and be like, okay, what is going on here? And then start to ask questions around that, not necessarily directly, but to see if there are anything, something from their past that is triggering them, or something that happened like maybe yesterday that is triggering them. There might be an experience that you don't know about. So that could give you an opportunity to find out those things that are triggering them to pull away from those kind of questions.
And he's got a lot of experience with that one.
But is there a right and a wrong way to be honest though? Because
Yeah.
um, intimacy questions are not even about what questions even about her past
Hmm.
and things about her past that sometimes we don't want anybody to know. But we're okay, we want to be truthful, so we're truthful, and the response that we're getting, it's not loving or not comforting. Like, should we be truthful about it?
First, side note, I don't feel like every question should be asked.
Mm,
I feel like there are some things that it could hurt your relationship. Could,
yes.
and so maybe think about asking this question: is this going to help our relationship or hurt our relationship?
But it's in the book. So, I mean, we're reading the book and I reach that question. I'm going to say, no, we're not asking. I think it's best we don't answer that. We don't ask that question. It's going to raise a red flag like, why is that you don't want to ask that question?
Yeah.
So with the book, the questions in there, you can ask all the questions in the book. I think what Ash was talking about was there are some questions that like when you ask, it might be like so triggering at that point in time to your spouse that it might lead to other things that you are not ready to face right away. And there's sometimes you might have to wait like 2 months or 3 months before you ask certain questions because at that time your partner will be ready to answer those questions.
And
Yeah.
I got that. I got what she was saying, but I'm saying there are questions in the book
Oh.
that I read
Mm-hmm.
that were tough questions
Mm-hmm.
and would probably cause problems.
Mm.
So that's where I was at with
Yeah.
that because asking the questions or being asked those questions in my mind, okay, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe we continued and we sometimes, and I think that's why sometimes we didn't even finish like some of the chapters
Mm-hmm.
because we had to spend some time talking about that question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the book isn't designed for you to go through it like super quick. It is for those evenings when you have a few minutes and you want to talk about something but you don't know what to talk about. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, what I was going to say was so the questions are designed to bring out things that couples don't usually want to talk about.
Right.
So by bringing out those questions, they are not questions that are, in our opinion, like is going to disintegrate your relationship or your marriage. There are questions that are supposed to help you guys build a bond and to get to know each other on a deeper level. So, for example, maybe you've been married 10 years, but something happened when you were a teenager that your spouse doesn't know anything about. Those are some of the questions that are in there that are supposed to help you bring those conversations up so you can discuss those topics with your spouse because they might not know about it because you haven't been triggered in so long of a time. So those are why we put in that's the reason why we put in some of those questions. They are very thought provoking, they're very deep, and they'll let you reach down to areas that you like. I want to shy away from this, but it's something that when you talk with your spouse, it's going to help you grow together as a couple. Your partner will be able to understand certain things about yourself that they didn't know, or you might have had um, different opinions now versus 10 years or 20 years ago. So like you said, you answer the questions maybe you did in 2020. Let's say in 2025 you pick up the book and then go through the questions again. You will have different responses
Yeah.
to different answers.
I'd be curious to know what questions were more hard.
People who are struggling with friendships, not even just me, but how do you feel most connected in our friendship? Like people, we don't have a friendship, right? When the
Mhm.
other person probably think we do have a friendship.
Oh, okay.
Even asking about rejection.
Hmm.
Have you ever felt rejected by me before? What happened?
Right.
Some people are not ready to speak about that. The questions about resentment,
Yeah.
those questions are hard questions, actually.
They are hard questions, and it can be hard to answer them, and it can be hard to hear the answers. But one thing, and again, this is like specific to our relationship, and what we
Hmm.
put out there is what we hope will help other couples, and it might not help other couples, and that's okay. You take what works for you and leave the rest. But we have always, we're a very neurodiverse family, and
Brian?
we're very blunt and honest. And
Okay.
even from the very beginning, Marcus would ask me these very deep and personal questions that I would try to like shy away from, and he
Hmm.
would just not let up like a dog with a bone. It forced me to have to face these questions in myself and to him. But I see how it made our relationship better, and I fell in love with him quicker because we got to know each other faster, and that trust was built. Um, and so when I look at these questions, even though I know that some of them are really hard and uncomfortable, like questions like how satisfied are you with our intimacy, things like
Listen, man. Listen. How do you answer that?
But for us, it's like, let's answer this question. And when I say, you know what, it's only a 6 or a 7, then we can also talk about like what would make it better. What needs of yours are not being met that we could work together to solve this problem, and not just be like, well, I'm trying my best, like, well, then I guess I just won't do anything. Like there's
Exactly. Those are the things that you get sometimes
hmm
when they're asking. So sometimes you don't even want to go in there. You just even want to have that conversation. Do you find it difficult to trust me completely? No, I don't. So just saying no, I don't doesn't help either. So it's really like, okay, um, in this moment, no. It's how we word it. So there really is a right and wrong way to go about it, because as I said, it doesn't matter the question. We really don't know what the other person is being triggered from if we don't have a conversation about it.
right. And
So go ahead.
specifically those kind of questions, when you're answering, obviously you want to keep kindness in mind. You don't want to discourage them or critique them in a negative way. It's like, well, I feel like this is not as great, but you do this really good, and so maybe we can incorporate some of this, and that could make it better.
Like use a sandwich method.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that always helps. And the other thing also is like, let's say like if you've been asked a question and you're not comfortable answering the question, one
Hmm.
thing you can also do is ask yourself, why am I not comfortable sharing this or answering this question with my partner?
Mm.
That could help you to be able to think through deeply about what is preventing you from answering it. Is it because you're trying to hide something from your partner, or is it because you're not comfortable enough to share that information or those details with your partner now? And so
Important.
you can look at the questions from those angles and then make a decision based on that. So you can tell your spouse, I'm just not ready to answer this question right now. Can we table it for maybe tomorrow or maybe a week's time? And then you go on to the next one. So you can use a book in that way also.
Okay, that's a good approach for it. How important is having some of these fun activities incorporated in our relationship?
Right. I mean, fun is a huge part of a marriage, we believe, because I mean, there's been periods of our lives where there just wasn't much fun,
Oh,
and we
yes.
could see how our relationship suffered for it. The stress built and everything else. So, fun is a stress reliever. It's a way to keep you both, happier and to build that friendship more.
and add excitement to your relationship. You don't want your relationship to be dull.
Yeah. Do new things together, stuff like that.
And question is always like, for example, one question is, what do you want to be? What do you want us to take our next vacation, or where do you want us to go next? Those are like fun, like conversations that you can have with your partner, help you guys dream together, and then start planning on new things and adventures that you want to experience together.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to do that. Make time for each other, and
Mm-hmm.
have some games, incorporate some games, even if you don't want to use some of these start conversation, because sometimes the conversations can get a little heavy. You can start off with games and then you go to a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Or sometimes like we watch a favorite show and then we'll pause it like mid show or during a commercial and then we'll talk about it. Be like, oh, what do you think about this? Or isn't that cool?
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
That
that's good.
makes it more interactive.
Is having an agenda when using a conversation starter a bad thing?
Yes.
Let me okay.
I think yes and no. I mean, if your agenda is to solve a problem and you're going in there looking to use teamwork, and you're not going there with a specific outcome as far as like, well, I'm going to get my husband to agree with me on this. That's my agenda here. I think the mindset is more important than yeah. I guess if that answers your question.
Yeah. So in turn, that would be the good and the bad in terms of if you're going to solve a problem together as a team, then it's good. But if it is that you're going to quote unquote cause some problems because you want to find out something, then that's where the negative is.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's just again just viewing your partner as a partner and being like, let's solve this problem together, and not viewing them as the problem is a huge win for any relationship.
That was said good though.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we start this conversation because we think they're the problems and there's something that we need to find from them or get out of them.
It can be humbling.
It can be. Give us some tips for couples who are having problems connecting through conversation.
I think just start where you guys share something in common. Start with the easy conversations, something that they like, take an interest in. Maybe you can talk about, like Marcus, he loves soccer, and I don't. I played it as a kid for like a year, but it wasn't really my thing. And
Right.
so sometimes I'll just be like, oh, what is your team playing? Who's winning? And then sometimes he'll try to explain the game to me. Now we're at the point in our marriage where I'll just get my book and sort of cuddle him while he's watching his game. And so
Right.
we're like physically connecting, but
Right.
what would you say?
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to say. The other thing you can also do is you can always start with reminiscing about your past. If you find out you're not able to have conversation now, you can talk about your past, how you met,
Like
what
good
made you
times.
attracted to each other, some of the fun things you did in the past, and reminisce your experiences together, and that would help you get ready to have like other deeper conversations down the road. Because as you reminisce, it will help you guys to bond and see why you decided to be with each other. And once you are able to get to that point, then now it's like, okay, what can we do to become better for each other? And by deciding that will lead to other conversations that you can have, which will help you improve your relationship.
Yeah. Or like you said, like planning for the future, goal setting, like, oh, do you want to take a vacation this year? What can we do? Stuff like that.
Okay. So there are different methods. I think people just need to probably look up methods, how to or try and find different activities that can help them with this. Or as you said, with Ashley, if he's doing something, you're still connecting, even though you both are. One is reading, one is watching sports.
Yeah.
There's still some connection there, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So as best as possible, try to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Not only on the physical, but on the emotional and mental level.
Yeah. I mean, I think so much weight is put on like connecting physically as a married couple.
Right.
When that is important, but sometimes that won't happen without the other connections.
Oh, it won't. That's fine. I agree with you on that. Yeah. So with all of these that you have had, where we've spoken about the conversations, can you let the people know what else is that you guys have out there? I know about the, where's it? So I know about the questions for couples, the 469 thought-provoking conversation starters.
Mhm.
But what else is that you have out there that people can look for on Amazon, etc.?
So the best place will be to go to our website. We have a lot of articles that you can read and learn a little bit about how to improve your relationship on there. We also have a podcast, the First Year Marriage Show podcast, that is available on the all the platforms. We don't update those right now, but we interviewed at least 35 couples to share their first year of marriage experiences that you can glean a lot of wisdom from. In addition to the Questions for Couples book, we also have books about communication, intimacy in marriage, and we have some activity books for couples to do together in their downtime, like quizzes for couples book. That's pretty much about quizzes that couples can do together to connect with each other.
Okay, and the website is ourpeacefulfamily.com.
Yes, that's our website.
Awesome. So people can go and check it out. Are you guys, and you guys are on Instagram?
Yes, we are.
Which social media platform?
We are on social media. We are not very active on social media, but we have
Okay.
our account on all the platforms. And when you go to our website, you get links to get over there.
Okay, awesome, good. And the website has a lot of details.
Yes.
You speak about different things from some valuable lessons that you have learned, how you guys failed, how you guys worked on things. Everything is there.
Yeah.
Which is good because you guys are vulnerable. Normally, if it is that couples are having problems, they want to speak to people who are vulnerable, that they can see that others have gone through things. So I'm not alone. I can also get through something.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why we created it. We really wanted to help other couples like us, who seem just more in touch with like what's going on today in the world and stuff. And that would share their mistakes, and how they learn these things.
Awesome. And I like how you guys started off with the first year of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people tend to think that the first year sometimes is the easiest because you're in the honeymoon phase, but it's not always like that.
Nope.
Yep. It's one of the challenges.
Yeah, yeah, that can be one of the challenging years. But that's good. I'm happy. I'm happy for this material. I'm happy for the blogs. I'm happy for your website because it has a lot of information that people can gain some knowledge from. So I'm happy for that. And as I've been talking about, I love your book.
Thank you.
Because it has been a great book that I can even go over. Also, we can even go over. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much again, guys, for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us, Jade.
No problem. And I want to thank my listeners for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.